Hi everyone, I'm Shelly from There's No Place Like Home at redheadmom8.wordpress.com. Today I just wanted to make a quick video to share some common reading mistakes that homeschool moms make with their kids. Now, I'm not referring to when you are teaching your kids to read. I actually did make a video about that. I think it was last year sometime. So if you are first teaching your kids how to read, I will link that video in the description box down below so that you can head on over there. This video today is geared towards parents who have kids who are already reading. Okay, and I just think that this is important because it's crucial that our kids at least enjoy reading. You know, not everybody is going to love reading. Not everybody is going to be a bookworm. But I really think that it's important that kids enjoy reading enough that when they are older, they are going to be willing to do some reading if they need to do some research or if they need to find the answer to something. So again, an important issue. The first mistake that I have seen happen is a lot of homeschool parents, a lot of homeschool moms focus on reading and grade levels. Now, make no mistake about it. It is important to know what your child is capable of doing when they are reading. But I have seen many homeschooling moms completely focused on making sure that they will only let their kids read, for example, a level J book. If their child is on a level J, they will only let their kids read level J books. Or on the other hand, you have books that actually have the grade level on the back of them, especially at the library, you'll find these books. And it will say, you know, like grade level 2.5. So a parent will only let their kids read those books, for example, if they are in second grade, okay? Or sometimes they'll let them read them maybe if they're in first and they know that they can. But a lot of times you will see parents who have older kids who are maybe in fourth grade will not let their kids read those books because it is at a grade 2 level. And I cannot emphasize enough to you how important it is to just disregard those levels. Again, look through the books that your kids are interested in reading, and you as the parent know what they are capable of doing, but give your kids some say. And that actually is going to go into one of the other points that I'm going to make today. But, you know, trust your kids. If you see that they are wanting to read something that's a little bit too easy for them, let them. You know, because I think a lot of times we don't understand that there is some helpful information to be gained in pretty much everything. So let your kids read something that might seem a little bit too easy for them. Does it have to be all the time? No, absolutely not. But certainly let them do it once in a while. On the opposite end, if your child wants to read a book that is clearly too advanced for them, you can either A, allow them to try reading that book and challenge themselves, because if they like a book enough, it is amazing to see what kids will push through in order to get to the end of that book. Another option is to maybe read the book as a read aloud to your kids, or read it together. Maybe you read one page, they read one page, and this can often advance their reading level even faster than you would expect it to. But again, my main point is don't worry about what the level says on the back of the book. Just like with teachers' manuals, for the most part, I disregard them. That's something else that I think we really need to disregard too, and just trust our instincts and trust our kids. They know themselves. So a second reading mistake that I see that is made by homeschool moms is that they will expect a book report for every book read or a summary of every chapter that is read. And I have personal experience with this. I am a huge bookworm. At any given time, I will be reading like 3 or 4 books at one time. Last year and the year before, I was actually writing book reviews. I would get free books from companies as long as I would write a book review of their books and post it on my blog. And I cannot tell you the difference there is between reading a book for pleasure and reading a book when you know that you have to write something about it after you're finished. Even for books that I normally would have enjoyed, I often found myself having to really push through it because I was dreading what I was going to have to do at the end, which is funny because I love to read and I do love to write, but somehow knowing that I had to do that really took the joy out of reading that book for me. So some options that you can do are maybe just once in a while have your kids write a book report for, you know, just spring a book on them all of a sudden, you know, and when I say spring a book on them all of a sudden, I mean, I should clarify that. Don't do it for every book. Maybe once in a while. When they finish the book, say, hey, you know what? Can you write me a quick 1 or 2 page book report on that book? And if you notice, I said when they finish it. I strongly recommend against telling them beforehand. Again, going back to my point of them not enjoying the book as much and even having a hard time focusing on it because they're just constantly thinking about what they're going to have to do after they're done with that book. So just do it every once in a while and tell them when the book is over. And another option is maybe if you like those chapter summaries, just don't have them do it for every chapter. Just do it once in a while to see, you know, that they understand what the book is about. And again, don't tell them before they write the chapter. Tell them after they write the chapter. Now, 2 other alternatives that you could do to that are, first of all, if you want to know how well your kids are understanding a book, just talk to them. Have a conversation with them. Book reports and summaries are not the only way for you to know that your kids are understanding something that they're reading. You know, just you could just walk up to them and say, hey, how do you like that book that you've been reading? And chances are they'll tell you a little bit about it. And if they don't, you can just say to them, well, what's it about? And just say these things in a conversational tone. Don't make it sound like you're interrogating them. Don't make it sound like you're testing them, but, you know, just show genuine interest in what they're reading. Another option is to do a notebook for that book. But again, I'm going to caution you against having your child do a notebooking page every single day for that book, or being very strict about them only being able to write written narrations of what the book was about or written summaries. If you're going to do a read aloud notebook, I would either caution you to A, don't have them do a page every single day of their book, or B, give them a wide variety of choices that they can make when creating those notebooking pages. For example, they could write comic strips or lists, or they could write their own variation of the chapter. They could write a character analysis. They could draw a detailed picture showing a scene in the book. All of these things still show that your child had an understanding of what they were reading without putting the pressure on them that they have to do all this writing every single time that they read, because they're going to start associating reading with writing, and especially for kids who don't enjoy writing, it's not going to go over well. And again, I do have to point out that I am a writer, and even I don't enjoy doing that. When I read a book and know that I have to write about it, I never end up enjoying it as much as if I were just reading it just for myself. So another mistake that I see homeschool moms make is that they don't give kids a say in what they read. And this kind of goes back to when I was talking about leveled readers. Some parents seem to think that the only good books for their kids to read while they're being homeschooled are books that are assigned to them. And, you know, I have to tell you that, again, you have to trust your child's instincts. They are going to have interests. They are going to have certain genres that they like to read. And you have to let them sometimes choose the books that they're going to read. Does this mean that you can never assign books to them? Of course not. You know, if you're doing a unit study on say, a former president and there's a biography about them, yeah, you know, it's a great idea to assign a biography. But you don't have to do it for every single book throughout the year. If one of your kids wants to read a book that has absolutely nothing to do with what they're learning about every now and then, let them. Again, it's about just letting your kids enjoy reading. So the fourth one, I don't want to forget these, so I have them written down. The fourth mistake that I see a lot of homeschool moms making is that, and I did this myself, they insist upon using reading comprehension workbooks. I cannot begin to tell you what a mistake that was for us in our family. Because first of all, I'm going to admit that my kids were already, they didn't like reading very much at this point. And adding the reading comprehension workbooks made it 10 times worse, because all of the reading comprehension workbooks that I have seen thus far have very boring passages in them. Just paragraphs and essays and stories that I, as an adult, would have a hard time paying attention to because they are so boring. And then when you have 2 pages worth of questions afterwards for you to answer, it's just, again, talk about taking the fun out of reading. Now a lot of these problems are the solutions are linked together. So yeah, this is going to sound a lot like what I just talked about before. If you want to make sure that your child is comprehending a book that they are reading, talk to them. Just have that conversation. I cannot begin to tell you how much more pleasurable it will be for both of you. And the last mistake that I'm going to talk about today that I see homeschool moms making when it comes to reading is that they will completely rule out twaddle. Now, twaddle, if you don't know what it is typically a book that is, a lot of times they're considered to be silly, or they don't have, you know, plots that are very, oh my gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? Stimulating, to us at least. Or sometimes they might not be written as eloquently as what we would consider to be living books. But I have got to tell you that, again, it just goes back to letting your kids sometimes choose what they are going to read. Does it mean that they always should read twaddle? No. You know, get some good books in for your kids. Make some great recommendations for them. But you know what? Books that are considered twaddle a lot of times are silly. And you know what? Sometimes kids do feel silly. Let them read those silly books every now and then. And you would be, I mentioned this before, you would be amazed at the great information that can come out of books that you would never expect them to. And you know, I also have to throw in there that me as a mom, as an adult, a lot of times when I'm feeling stressed out or just not feeling myself or just very tired, a lot of times what I like to do is veg out in front of the TV. And you know what? You can look at those books, the twaddle books, as your kids kind of just winding down. You know, that can be their version of vegging out when they are reading these books that you as the parent would consider twaddle, but your kids are really enjoying them. And you know, when it comes down to it, where would you rather have your kids vegging out? In front of the TV or in front of a book? I'd have to say in front of a book every time. So anyway, that's all that I have for you today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet and would like to hear more of what I have to say, I would love if you would do that. If you have any questions or comments, you can just leave one down below. And if you like my work, I encourage you to check out my page on Patreon and see what I have in store for my patrons there. And I hope you have a great day.